Want to make the navbar sticky on scroll? In this tutorial, you will learn how to make the navbar stick to the top after some scrolling. With this tutorial, our navbar can be fixed at the top within any custom height. This is a beginner-friendly tutorial where we will be using just HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Now, let's get started. We will use the nav HTML tag to define the sections of navigation links. Our main navbar will be wrapped with a div having the class main nav. Inside this div, we will create an anchor tag with the class logo to represent our navbar logo. To create the navigation menu, we will use an unordered list with the class navbar. Each menu item will be represented by a list item with the class menu item. For each menu item, we will use an anchor tag with the class menu linked to create the navigation link. To add additional navigation links, we can easily duplicate the existing ones and then modify them as needed. Once the navigation links are successfully in place on our web page, our next task is to start creating the various sections. To create a section, we will have a div element with class content. Initially, we will only include an h1 tag within each section. We will have a total of 4 sections on our web page, and we will modify the h1 tag as needed for each section. Finally, we will assign an ID to our first section, naming it about. Next, we will add some styles to our web page. In style.css, I already have some default styles written for fonts and global styling. Don't worry, it's not mandatory. In case, you can find the link for it in the description. We will set the list style of our li tag to none to remove the default bullet styles and numbering. To remove the underline from the anchor tag, we will set its text decoration to none. The Poppins font family will be used for all text on the web page. Next, we will style our navigation bar. Firstly, we will style the nav tag by setting its position to absolute, which will make the navigation bar overlap other elements. Furthermore, we will set its left and right to 0px to ensure that the navbar spans the full width of the viewport. Its background color will be transparent. We will give a transition of 0.4 seconds for any property changes, making animation smoother. Padding top and bottom will be 1.5 rem, while left and right will be 0. The main wrapper for our navbar with the class main nav will have a maximum width of 1070px. The margin top and bottom will be 0, and the left and right margins will be set to auto, which will evenly distribute any extra space on the left and right sides of the element. The padding top and bottom will be 0px, while the left and right padding will be 15px. We will set its display property to flex, which will allow us to use flex properties. To vertically align child elements, we will set the aligned items property to center, and the justify content property will be set to space between. The element with the class logo will have a font size of 1.2 rem, a font weight of 800, and its color will be white. Our unordered list element with the class navbar will have the display property set to flex, which will align child elements horizontally. Within this UL tag, the list item with the class menu item will have padding of 0 for top and bottom and 5px for left and right. Similarly, our link will have a white color, a font size of 1 rem, and its padding for top and bottom will be 0, while the padding for left and right will be 0.5 rem. Its font weight will be 300. We need to style sections with the class content. First, we will set the height to 100 vh to ensure that the content area fills the entire vertical space of the viewport. Its display will be set to flex, and the justify content and align items properties will be set to center. The background color will be black, and the text color will be white. To style the alternate element with the class content, we will set its background color to white and its text color to yellow using the following CSS code. Finally, we will add a 150px padding top to the section element with the ID about. We have completed the CSS code, and now we are moving on to our JavaScript section. First, we will create a function called stickerNav. Within this function, we will declare a variable named headerHeight. We will use the document.querySelector method to select the element with the ID about. After selecting the element, we will use the built-in JavaScript method offsetHeight to retrieve the total height of that element in pixels and then divide this height by 2. Next, we will declare another variable named navbar to select the nav element. Similarly, we will declare another variable named scrollValue to store the current vertical scroll position of the page using the built-in JavaScript property scrollY. To determine whether the user has scrolled past a certain point on the page, we can use an if statement. Within this if statement, we will check if the user has scrolled past half the height of the header height. If the condition is true, we will add the class header sticky to the nav element. If the condition fails, we will remove the class header sticky from the nav element. Now that we have created our function, we need to trigger this function when the user scrolls. We will add an event listener to the scroll event and attach our stickyNav function. Finally, we need to style the nav element with the class header sticky to make it stick to the top of the page as the user scrolls. For this, we will add the CSS properties position fixed, background color a shade of purple, Z index 2000, and transition 0.4s to give a smooth animation effect when the navigation bar becomes sticky. Now that you have learned how to make the navbar fixed while the user scrolls, I hope this tutorial was insightful for you and that it will help you implement it into your project. Thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe.